This is News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Dave's out. Sitting in with me is Matt Crow. Also, we have Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith in studio.
Who's looking amazingly bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning.
Yeah, how late was the city council last night?
I think we got through probably, gentlemen, about 8, I think.
Okay.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It wasn't too bad at all.
Jeff brought in a stack of documents, so it's a little intimidating, Matt. They're about 3 inches tall. When he set it down on the counter, everything bounced up into the air. You trying to intimidate us?
I just always bring my book because this show asks.
Is that the whole budget?
No, this is just the agenda from last night.
Wow.
And that's pretty normal, y'all, that this is 500 pages.
Looks like the Chicago phone book. I know this is radio, but it's pretty intimidating.
So last night, now you were telling us during the break that the 1 cent increase is just the maximum that y'all would go.
By state law.
Okay.
We set the highest rate we can charge. I mean, we can go down from there. We cannot go above that. This was the ask of our city manager administration that this 1 cent extra goes to a project that our city council last year started, and that is community policing. And this is part of a $10 million bond to start building substations. You might have seen Chief Stevens announce the location of one in East Lubbock, MLK and 19th. And so
I've driven by.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so
there's a big sign that says it's going to be there.
Yes, he's already put a sign up, which is cool. But there'll be there's 2 others planned. But this is the beginning of that. And so, but that's the max that we can charge. We still have room to navigate downward, but we can't go above that.
So what's the difference between last year's budget and this year's proposed budget? I mean, because right now there's a 5.2% increase from property taxes.
Yes.
And then there's also this 1 cent increase, which amounts to close to 2%. That would be in there. So there's about a 7% difference between last year's budget and the proposed budget. So what is it that we're paying for in this one that we weren't paying for last year?
A lot of it is the change in what we're doing is we're cash funding projects. We're paying cash for vehicles that in the past we financed. Mm-hmm. And if you think about useful life of vehicles, y'all, it makes sense. There's only 3 vehicles in this budget that is to be debt funded. And one of them is a compactor for solid waste, which is $700,000. Okay?
Good Lord.
Yeah. And so when they're that expensive, Matt, you know, in the life expectancy is greater than the debt funding of it, than the term of your bond. So, but we're cash funding a whole lot more. This is a move to get away from financing, to turn everything into cash.
Whose idea was that,
projects.
Jeff? Was that everyone's or the city managers? Or
yeah, I would say it was the best of both. I would applaud our council. Last year, we started it last year, Matt, and to get away from debt financing, and especially vehicles, but what we used to call the master lease. And so that is very important that we go that. So this council's direction is that. But our city manager, Jared Atkinson, is definitely, he understands that's where we want to go. And that's the way we have to, and definitely improve long-term outlook.
So moving forward, if we're paying off debt and we're not getting any new debt for vehicles and smaller things, then is that going to potentially be able to lower taxes in the long run?
Yes, it very well could. I'm not ever going to make that promise, but by
that time you may not be on the city council anymore.
Good point.
So it's not
if our charts in our budget, and not to bore you to death and the listeners, but the main thing is that I don't think you'll ever see the city eliminate debt. I think there'll always be big projects like these substations that require bonding. But the big picture is this. Within 10 years, 72% of the city's debt will be paid off. Now,
say that again?
Within 10 years,
yeah,
72% of the city's debt will be paid off unless
something happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the city's debt right now? It's over $1 billion, I believe.
Yeah, and remember the majority of that is water and big electrical LP&L transmission projects. So those are asset-based debt. Our bad debt, what we call general fund debt, is in the neighborhood of $200 million.
Okay, so as far as that, right now y'all have you're looking at a raise in stormwater fees. Is that right?
No.
So what?
Stormwater is maxed right now, pretty much, and that's a huge debt, Matt, huge debt problem for us. But that begins to roll off. I should have brought my other books, Matt Crow, so that you could have seen our budget books, which make this Chicago phone book look tiny. Mm-hmm. But that shows that our stormwater situation is going to improve dramatically in the next 3 years.
So there were some fees that were on top of the increases. There were some fees that were talked about being increased. Oh. Are those going to be increased?
What's under discussion, and it's not voted on yet, but we had dialogue on that yesterday in a work session on budget. One is a $1 increase to your solid waste fee. We analyzed back to that compactor I was telling you about, for not to talk about
the $700,000 truck.
Yeah, that compacts trash in the. I need to take you out there. It's actually.
I don't want to do it by hand. The $700,000's fine.
But does anybody know how much you pay for trash pickup every month? Do you know?
Is it somewhere in the range of $20?
I'm like everybody else. It just gets done, and I don't think much about it.
Well, it's part of your water bill, right?
Yeah,
it's part of. Yeah, you get it from City of Lubbock utility bill. It's $16.75. The proposal is to go to $17.
Okay.
To go up another $1, I should say. But that's still on the table. And then a wastewater. We're navigating through a possible wastewater increase of $1, maybe down to 50 cents. We're not sure yet. We're still working on that. Those are the two fees that would affect average or most LP&L users or ratepayers today. Some of the other fees that we're talking about increasing are building permits. That's already been approved by the Builders Developers Council. West Texas Home Builders was highly involved in that. We hadn't changed those in years. There's a few other fee increases, swimming pool and those kind of usage, but that need to be adjusted.
Okay. Well, again, we're sitting in with Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith. We're going to have to go ahead and take our break, but we'll be right back here on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. This is News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. I'm Matt Martin. Sitting in with me is Matt Crow, and also we have Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith in studio talking about last night's city council meeting. We talked about the trying to get rid of debt.
Yes.
And not paying cash for things or paying up front for things. So is there anything else that's a major difference between last year's budget and this year's budget? I know that there's a 3% potential increase for city employees.
Yes. That's in a lot of that change of that will be it's not just across the board 3%.
Right.
A lot of that will be goal-driven.
Merit-based.
And so I applaud our city manager that's the direction he wants to go. And so that's been analyzed, and again, we're still in the works on this. This will not actually be official till September 13th is when we'll. So this is for the budget starting October 1 and then going through till September 30th of 20 2019. So we have to balance our budget by state law and do it within September. So we still have some room to navigate. So there could be other changes that come about, but I don't see anything to answer your real question. I don't see any big changes other than our direction of less debt funding and more cash funding.
Okay, so is it something that you and the other city council members have talked about, trying to get rid of this 1 cent increase because of the extra money that's already coming in from the
Appraisal
values?
Creek?
Yes,
the
values.
Yes, and that was discussed yesterday somewhat, but yes, I've had meetings with other council members about this, and I mean we can hopefully still navigate to that, but I don't know that we'll get there. I'm not going to make any promises, but I do think that we're going to still be looking at that. There's some other departments that, in my opinion, still need some analysis.
Okay. Something else, and we got a few minutes. Something else that y'all did last night was y'all changed the zoning for microbreweries downtown.
Yes.
Or you changed the zoning to where microbreweries can come in down.
And that only took 32 pages in the budget. I counted.
When we say downtown, I probably need to qualify that, y'all, because the way it's zoned, it's called the Central Business District, and so it even goes along Broadway, towards Tech. Okay, so some of that is inclusive.
Talk about that 600-foot deal you were talking about earlier. I think it's important at the break. We're talking about a perspective. You're a small business owner. There's other small business owners on the council, and I think looking at these through that kind of that lens is important. So you all made some changes. Initially, you weren't going to be able to allow the breweries within 600 feet of each other, but that was a slight change.
Matt, we had realtors, chamber executives speak to us about that they felt like this was a positive of allowing these microbreweries in downtown. We actually already have some,
right, and
wineries, but it's a neat industry in an urban environment. I do feel like, and I appreciate you bringing this up about the separation. We elected to amend it so that you could, if you wanted to put your microbrewery, Matt Crow, right next to Matt Martin's wine bar, that you can do it in this central business district. And that way you've got the synergy of that industry. Public safety is still very important. And we also eliminated the part about how much parking is needed for these entities, unlike restaurants, knowing that in the downtown area you may have to walk a block or two,
But that's what you want, right? Don't you want people parking a little ways off and then walking and going through retail places and places to eat and places to drink?
Point.
Yeah.
Good point.
And to develop that energy down there, particularly like in the Arts District. I mean, that place is crying out for a microbrewery down there.
There's one planned.
Yeah, there's the Two Docks. Is that the name?
And we saw some artist renderings on there last night. I'll show you a picture.
Well, and that's going to be a place like for our vintage that you and I aren't going down and running around Spankies and Chimneys. We'd rather be over at the Arts District,
Are you saying that we might be cultural?
No, I'm saying we're old. we don't want to be.
I think he said we're old.
We don't want to be mixing it up with the college students.
I feel more cultured myself.
We got a little culture.
A little bit. Well, you're wearing a sport coat.
This is News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. We will be taking the 7:30 break. We'll come back, and Jeff Griffith will still be with us. And so we'll be right back after a check of weather and news. This is News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. I'm Matt Martin. Sitting in with me, Dave's out. He's out having some fun. I think he's relaxing up in the mountains. But anyway, Matt Crow's sitting in with me, and we also have Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith in studio. Now, Jeff, I do want to ask a little bit. What y'all are putting in these substations, but you also had other things with the police. What are y'all doing there as far as in the budget for next year?
Okay, good question. Last night we approved $99,000 to start the the actual design, engineering, architecture of a crime lab property warehouse. The part of our dilemma has been that because our police department has to keep so much evidence for sometimes decades, that we've run out of room. That particular facility is an old auto parts warehouse, and it's not very big. So what we did is we've taken down the building that was formerly over behind Municipal Hill on Municipal Drive, real close to Meadowbrook Golf Course, that used to be the original Animal Services building. And we have a new Animal Services building on the southeast loop. So we had an empty building that the city owned the pad. We have scraped that, and that will be where the property warehouse crime lab will become.
So you already own the property?
Yes, we didn't have to buy any property.
That's where if you sliced, you bounced a golf ball off of the.
Councilman Chavez and Mayor Pope both expressed that they had hit that building before. And Mr. Crow, it sounds like
yes, I have too.
You have too.
Yes, I have. Well, and how much is that going to be?
Well, we approved $99,000.
Yeah, okay.
That project will be several million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing in the new budget, I think there was y'all are looking at adding 10 police officers
and their vehicles
to go with it.
Yes, and again, those vehicles are cash funded. This plan to go to community policing isn't just about building substations and putting the police in really it's a triangle approach of the city. There'll be one on the northwest side, one on the southwest side, and of course this first one on the east side. And this is to be much more efficient. And we're the largest city. Chief Stevens would explain to you better than I can. We're the largest city in Texas that doesn't have community policing. We've already gone to that model as far as the way we're trying to work daily, and I appreciate what they're doing. But Sheriff Rowe was interviewed, and I saw the story. We have over 1,700 gang members.
Yeah, I saw that story.
Let me tell you, our crime rate, we have to be honest with our citizens. Our crime rate is up. So the need for more police, public safety is job one for the city council. And so I'm fully in favor of improving and increasing our force and the substation plan. Property crime, drugs, y'all know, we wear folks out talking about how horrific it is, and we've all been affected by it. So we really understand the need for this and hope that our plan, it'll take a few years for all this to get done, but we want to make definitely a safer city.
So when we get all these substations finished, what are we going to do with the downtown police station right now?
The plan is part of the last part of the puzzle, Matt, is to replace that building. And that's where, a couple of years ago we decided we've got to make a change. That building is not, it's embarrassing that our police are still occupying that facility.
Yeah.
Well, they deserve better than that. I've noticed just in last year or so, in our neighborhood anyway, a lot more police presence, and in fact, as I drive around the city, it seems like there's a substantial police presence rather, and I think that the chief's on the right track. But I don't know what the rank and file police officers feel about it, but I can imagine that, if you work in a crummy office, you feel crummy, and there's no esprit de corps with the whole thing, and it kind of is tantamount to not really, I don't know, it makes you kind of question your own, what does the community think of me? And if I'm working in these kinds of conditions, I think it sends the wrong message. And I think when you're trying to recruit police and you're trying to, like I say, instill an esprit de corps in the police force and make them the best in West Texas, then, they should have up-to-date and modern, not luxurious, but, just up-to-date and modern equipment and modern office functions. Gee whiz, because we're counting on them.
Thank you for saying that. You're exactly right. I totally agree, sir.
All right, this is News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. It's 7:42, and we'll be right back with Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith. This is News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO, and we have Jeff Griffith, Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith, in studio, and also Dave King's out. I don't want to forget Matt Crow is sitting in with me. But
cultured Matt Crow.
Yes, cultured Matt Crow. So Jeff, I brought it up during the break. I'm going to bring it up now. There's been you have brought up controversy, Jeff.
He said the L word.
You have people that are not very happy with you right now, and so I'm going to bring it up, and it's a scandal. Uh-oh. What is going on with the libraries here?
Well,
no, you had made a comment about the fact that things are moving. I don't think you went into this much detail, but things are moving digital, and maybe we don't need as many places for people to go for libraries.
Matt, this started in our budget workshops and assessment as I was going department to department, and felt as I analyzed the library data, what I saw was that our user numbers are down. It's a little below 20% in library users in this city.
And is that in 1 year?
Yes.
Okay.
So the point is that budget didn't go down, but your users went down. And I need to state, I don't want to scare anybody. I'm not against libraries. I think what I'm trying to do is I think our council needs to reassess with the city management, assess our library system. And to your point about digital, everybody knows this, that you can read a book online. You may be doing one right now. But the point is that we have 4 libraries, and we've got a little over $3.5 million a year budget to operate all 4. I want to improve our libraries, but my question to our council and our city administrators is 4 the correct number? Is the locations correct? Is the budgeting correct? We had previously assessed some publications that we were buying, some periodicals that were, and I think they're making changes there because it's not what it used to be. And our library usage is very important. It's great for kids. It's phenomenal for kids. We've got some great children's programs. So, but I think it's important that we reassess this and look at it. What's a library look like in 5 years and 10 years? Not just today.
Okay. One thing now, I think it may have been Chad. I don't want to give him credit if it wasn't him because I'm trying to remember, or if he doesn't want to talk about it. But we were talking yesterday, and he brought up that not all of the schools in Lubbock have libraries. Is there any schools that don't have libraries in the city of Lubbock?
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I think it's mandated by the state that some schools have libraries, but I don't know, to your point about that. Most of that I think is curriculum based. Mm-hmm. It must be. Obviously Mayor Pope and Councilman Massengale both served on Lubbock Independent School District Board of Trustees, and I'll need to bring them in to answer that question.
Do we have any numbers on how many people use the digital side of the library?
It's vague, but yes, we do have, and I didn't bring that budget book with me this morning, or I'd quote you the numbers. Okay. But the total usage is down about 80,000.
So, the other question I have: do we have any separation of what people are getting? You know, they have movies there, they have books there, they have magazines there. People who walk through the door, do we know what people are getting when they walk through the door?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's been a library assessment. Actually, the newest is about 3 years old.
Keeping track of what people are reading, huh?
Well, Matt Crow, you know what section I'm in. I'm definitely in the periodicals, but
Action Comics. Right?
Well, I was hoping you'd say arts.
Yes,
cultural arts,
opera,
again.
symphony, art books. Yes,
probably Renaissance.
Exactly.
But no, seriously, we do have data on this. We need to assess this data, in my opinion, and improve our libraries. Let's make it a more, gosh, Barnes and Noble. I was there the other evening. I'm not saying we put a coffee shop in our libraries, but
why would that be a bad idea?
It's not a bad idea. Yeah. Councilman Randy Christian brought it up the other day.
Okay. Well, I look at Barnes and Noble. You're talking about how busy Barnes and Noble is. You bought a book there not that long ago. What if you could go to a library and actually get that book that you were wanting to get for free, sit there and read it while you're drinking coffee? I
don't want Barnes and Noble to go out of business.
No,
I'm just trying to copy their. They're in my district.
The thing about a library is you have one or two copies of a book. If it's checked out, you have to wait for it to come back.
Good point.
But so I don't think it's ever going to put Barnes and Noble out. But I guess my point is that the libraries used to be that if a brand new book came out, you could go get it at the library, you could read it, and then or you wait in line to read it or whatever. But now it seems like a lot of your newer content, just because of expense, more than likely, is just not there.
Yeah, good point. And that's where we need to assess this little over $3.5 million that we're putting in and make it more efficient, but make it more exciting to go to the library, especially for kids.
All right. Well, we've got to take another break. This is News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. And sitting in with me is Matt Crow. We'll be right back. I'm Matt Martin. Sitting in with me is Matt Crow at 7:56. We have Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith in studio. And he's going to have to stop laughing.
I got
Matt, why are you telling him jokes right?
I'm not telling him jokes.
Too much stuff to talk about.
Relating along a very important part of city life. No. You were, as I said earlier, you're a small business guy. What's in the budget for small business people? What should they know about the budget and what the city's doing to make it more friendly to small business and business growth and consequently job growth?
And job growth's a good point. I mean, a good thing to talk about because that's something that really our economic development arm is highly involved in is workforce and being able to really activate workforce properly. So I must admit that Lita Market Lubbock, they do a great job with workforce retention and job growth. That's really, and of course, we got a very low unemployment rate.
We do. We're very fortunate.
But as far as small business operation, the main thing that this budget we are trying. I know we're talking about a penny property tax increase. That's something that it's very heartfelt to me because property tax on business. We always talk about how it affects the homeowner. Hey, it affects business owner dramatically, and small, medium, and large. But that part of it, trying to keep rates down, water and utility rates are very important to business, in my opinion. Those are things we kind of really hyper focus on.
We are still business friendly.
Absolutely, yeah. We've got to be business friendly. It's one of our greatest assets.
Okay, we got about a minute left. Is there anything that you want to talk about in the minute we have left?
A lot of what we'll continue to do is analyze budget. I don't think budget's not in stone. A lot of work was done yesterday, and I appreciate where our council got. But it's not written in stone, and we still have about a month before we actually finalize this.
And y'all will be taking community comments as well.
Absolutely. And so anybody that's got anything, please contact me. Yeah. I'd love to hear from citizens on any of their issues.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Jeff Griffith, thank you so much for coming out. We had a lot of fun, and you clarified a lot of things for us. So thank you for coming out.
No, my pleasure.
Good luck as you go forward. And I know it's a lot of work.
Well, thank y'all I appreciate you having me, gentlemen. Y'all have a great weekend.
All right, you too. This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO.